the succession plan for Khamenei going forward for the next few days.
In the meantime, we're going to take a look at the newspaper front pages. Let's introduce our guests, shall we? We're joined by Letis Bromowski, who's reporter at the Daily Mail, and Matthew Stadlin, who's presenter and political commentator. So welcome to both of you. I mean, across the board, the front pages, as you would expect, dominated by what's going on in Iran. And Matthew, you said you found the front pages, just as a general overview of them, first of all, quite extraordinary.
I think they're some of the most momentous front pages of my lifetime. I'm 46 years old, so the Ayatollahs have run right the way through my life so far. And this is the first time that an Ayatollah, one of the two of them, have actually been killed rather than died of natural causes. So this is a massively significant moment, not just for Iran, not just for the Middle East, but for the world. And huge questions now, what happens next? Iran has threatened massive retaliation. They've already retaliated yesterday across the Gulf. But Trump, in typical Trump form, has used capitals to say, well, you're threatening this, but you better not, because otherwise, basically, all hell will rain down. Does Trump have a plan? And that is the question on so many lips.
I mean, what's your sense as to whether he or not he does have a plan? We're going to skip on to the next front page. He's got Donald Trump there in his makeshift situation room.
The Sunday Telegraph,
I would say he doesn't have a plan. This is very classic Trump, and actually what we're seeing now is very similar to what we saw in Venezuela. You have months of build-up where the US is sending the arms and aircrafts and ships to surround the countries. Then you have this direct strike, which happened in Venezuela. They took they arrested the leader, the regime changed, and they've almost emulated that exactly in Iran. But what is going on right now in the US domestically, I think, is quite important in terms of why this has happened now. Trump's got midterms coming up at the moment, and right now he's got the lowest approval ratings that he's ever had throughout either of his premierships. And so he needs something to sort of push him up and boost his polls. And war and things like this has always been a sort of galvanizer within a country. So this is coming up. So there's reasons why he needs to make a mark. But in his speech yesterday, he said, and I think he said something very important, which was he was calling on the Iranian people to rise up. He was saying, I'm going to make this moment happen for you, but then I'm going to leave you to it. I'm not going to sort of, and this is all assumed at the moment, but I'm not going to go any further. You need to rise up and overtake this regime. And so I think that's really as far as he's going to go. I think for him this was his one moment. He's given the moment for the regime to change, and now he's stepping away.
And let's take a look at the Sunday Times, just to get a flavour of some of the other papers. A very similar front page, really. Ayatollah killed in blitz from America and Israel. And Matthew, what do you make of how Donald Trump is handling this? He's gone ahead with action without consulting Congress, without giving the American people too much warning. Obviously, they would have known about this big build-up of military assets in the region, but he did the State of the Union address just a few days ago and mostly focused on domestic issues. What do you make of how this could go down in America?
Well, domestically, and of course that's a huge consideration for Trump, historically, war can help an unpopular president or a floundering president, except that amongst his MAGA base, the Make America Great Again base, this could prove ultimately very unpopular. He was supposed to be the president who doesn't lead America into war, and he's already got America into several wars, or at the very least, very serious confrontations. So how this plays out back in America, how far the Democrats go in trying to rein the president in, will be fascinating. What will happen in the midterms? But don't forget, it was just a few weeks ago, if we switch back focus to Iran and the Iranian people, that Trump was egging them on. He was encouraging them to rise up, and then the support didn't come, and thousands were murdered by their regime. So what happens on the ground in Iran now? Can you effect regime change from the air? And don't forget, as well as I suspect, overwhelmingly a feeling in Iran that this is a great day. And this man, the Ayatollah, was a figure of great evil. Trump is right on that. But there are still millions of people in Iran who back the regime.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't got loads of time left. We'll bring up this double-page spread in the Mail. I want to talk to you guys about the impact on us here. We talked a little bit about the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, potentially, and what that could do to prices here. Talk to us as well about, about the political reaction from Downing Street.
Yeah.
Keir Starmer has sort of a fine line to tread here, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Knows it's illegal, but doesn't want to criticise Trump.
I mean, this is what Starmer's been dealing with all week. He's sort of being squeezed by the Greens and your party on the left-hand side, who are saying that this is an illegal thing that the US has done and we should call them out on it. And on the other side, he's got Reform, he's got the Tories saying we need to be more supportive of this, we need to, fight back against Iran, they can't get nuclear arms and things like that. So again, he's got this impossible sort of tightrope to tread, whilst also he's clearly been having conversations in the background from Trump about whether they could have launched their preemptive strikes from the bases that we have, which we ultimately said no to. And I do think that was the right decision, because when you think about it, agreeing and supporting the US in this position and allowing them to launch this preemptive strike from our own bases are very different strategic moves.
I would just say that whether it is or isn't illegal, you say that Starmer knows it's illegal, is a matter of legal opinion. What I would also say, though, is that when Trump claims that there was an imminent threat from Iran, that strikes me as dubious. I mean, it's open to interpretation. Certainly, Starmer is clear that we don't want Iran to get nuclear weapons, but when he says Iran can stop this now by going back to the table, I'm not sure that it's within the gift of the Iranian leadership to stop it. Well, one of the main guy's dead, for a start. And secondly, I'm not sure that Trump would accept that.
Yeah, and let's take in The Sun, just to show people what The Sun's front page is, Ayatollah dead. And you talk about, the Iranian people being called on to rise up.
Yeah.
Big questions as well about who will replace the Ayatollah and whether much changes in terms of the thrust of the regime.
Well, this is the huge question, because ultimately the regime has been so oppressive and so repressive that there isn't really a viable opposition option. It's not any sort of normal country that would have an opposition, because they've all been killed or put in prison or just gotten rid of. So really there is this, who is going to step into this vacuum?
Well, as we wait to find that out, we're looking at pictures live from Iran right now. As you can see, many people out on the streets marking the moment of the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Guys, we'll more for you in the next hour. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks very much.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter?